Hello my celestial friends! I'm Echo the Saving Sorceress, and today I'm going to be making a winter witch hat to match this cape, the very first project I made on this channel. So a few years ago I made capes like these for all of the bridesmaids in one of my best friend's weddings, and I fell in love with it while I was making it. It's such a warm cape. It feels like summertime when I put it on in the middle of winter. It's amazing. And I have a little bit of leftover fabric, so I always wanted to make a matching winter witch hat. You gotta have a witch hat to match your cape. I mean, obviously. So, because I learned how to make beanies earlier this year, I thought that it would be a great time to make a sort of witch hat slash beanie out of the rest of this material and see what we get. I am hoping for the best because I have not had the most success with making witch hats in the past, but I think this is going to work out well. I am looking forward to it. So, without further ado, I'm going to put on my beanie and my crafting glasses and get to work. I am so ready to get started. First, before I do anything, I am going to measure around my head, and I'm going to leave my beanie on because honestly, the fabric that I'm working with right now, it does not stretch. There is no stretch here. So I figure if I make it a little too big, it's probably for the best. Let's see. Let's do centimeters to get a really precise measurement. Here we've got about 54 centimeters with my hat on. I'm going to add a few to that before I make any cuts because I know how this goes. So this big amount of fabric is what I have to work with. I've got this right here, which is not super wide but quite long. And then this is just mostly a scrap. So somehow I've got to figure out how to make a hat out of these. And one that looks cute and good. I've always dreamed of making a witch hat, and unfortunately it's just never really worked out for me. I've tried a couple of times. Shouldn't be that difficult, but I keep doing something wrong. So today I'm hoping you're going to witness my triumph. Or my next failure. Who really knows, you know? Hopefully not. But I am going to make a mock-up because I have learned my lessons from times past. I'm going to make a mock-up with this roll of brown paper that I got in an empty box. Actually, no. It was empty after I took the stuff out of it. A box in the mail. You know, one way or another this is gonna work. We'll see. I am ready to get witchy. Does this look like a witch hat yet? Not sure I like it going straight up like that. We'll have to do some experimenting. But I do kind of want to fold over the front, like, you know, your standard beanie. And perhaps we will go for a bent tip. Oh yes. Oh yes. That's giving me all the spooky vibes. Ah, excellent. If you're wondering where I'm going to wear this hat, the answer is everywhere. You know, everywhere where I'm not concerned for the state of my life. But I'm just really excited to have such a hat. Oh my gosh, I've lost my other hat. So I've taken a look at it, and this fabric, we've got about, oh my gosh, my measuring tape. We've got about, let's see, we're going to do it in inches this time, about 18 inches from top to bottom. So we can't make the hat bigger than that because this is all I've got. But I don't think it needs to be that big. I am looking to make a cute little hat. Doesn't need to be bigger than anyone else's hat. It's just going to be my little hat. But all I've got here is 12 inches from top to bottom, so I may need to do some cutting and taping here to make a real mock-up. We shall see. At least this time I'm not dealing with tinfoil hats, so you know, steps forward in the right direction. And now I am going to think for a very long time, be very concerned, and finally cut into the paper and then cut into the fabric. I wish my process could avoid all of the unnecessary anxiety, but you know, I like to get things right. It takes a whole lot of math and a whole lot of looking really scared off into the distance for a while and being like, please work, please? It usually works out after all that. Also, I need to watch out because a whole bunch of pieces are just falling off this fabric. I forgot how much it sheds. It's getting everywhere. Ah! Alright, so after some fiddling with the paper, I have one section of it that's just a right angle cut out of the 12-inch paper, so the slant height is 12 inches here. And then that's about 3/4 of the hat, and then I had to cut an extra piece for the final quarter just to actually make this a hat that could potentially fit me. And so now this whole length is 54 inches, just like my head. Probably should have made it bigger for some added, you know, seam allowance, but we'll do that on the fabric, hopefully. Hopefully I'll remember. And I did add a little tiny bit of extra paper here because I don't just want a hat that goes around like this. I, like the other beanies that I have, want it to sort of fold up like this and a little bit of a rim. And so I've tried to replicate that with paper. I think it'll be easier if I just tape it together and maybe we'll see if it looks like a cute hat. Who knows? Okay, I've taped it together. It already looks like a witch hat. I'm excited. I am not sure if this will translate to fabric, but at least this is cute. I'm just gonna wear a paper bag on my head. This is just, that's fine. It's perfectly fine. No need to go to fabric, right? You know, I just get so nervous. But I'm really especially nervous about translating the thickness of the fabric to this because it needs to actually have enough space to go around and hopefully fold over in a brim. It was a little bit hard to do the brim with paper, but I think it worked out and I have higher hopes that this will work. Now I'm going to get into the fabric stuff and cross your fingers for me. I think we can do this. I'm gonna cut open my little model here so we can get a flat pattern again. Just cutting open the tape. So we've got this lovely little pattern, and I've already marked right here the point that it's basically the pivot point where we're going to have the whole thing swing around. Luckily, this one was 12 inches and this ruler that I've got is 12 inches, so that's perfect because I actually don't know what I would have done otherwise. But I am just going to sort of loosely draw around with this and then maybe make some more permanent markings with this. I have no idea what's going on here, so that's something that I hopefully will not look back on and be like, uh-oh, I made a horrible mistake. I mean, maybe we'll just trace it. Maybe we'll just pretend that it's fine. It's always a wild time with me. And now we have to remember that there is no seam allowance here yet. So before I actually move on to anything else, I'm going to draw a seam allowance just because I know that I'm going to forget otherwise, and that will be a disaster. Now, normally I would probably do a 1/2 inch seam allowance, but because there's no give on this fabric and I just don't trust anything, I am going to give it a full inch of seam allowance because you know what? It's okay if the hat's a little bit too big. What I do not want is the hat being too small. That would be a disaster. You know what? I'm gonna get one of my other tools. I'll be right back. Ooh, there's just a scorpion in my house. How appropriate for the season. Anyway, if you sew, I highly recommend a rounded ruler like this one. This possibly is an armhole ruler, but a French curve would work as well. Just anything that can give you a curve so you don't get all confused when you're doing curves like this. And I also decided to map out an extra inch of seam allowance on this side because I did not put any seam allowance over here, and I'm hoping that makes up for it. You know, fingers crossed. So let's just go ahead and draw a nice curved line. Alright, let's get to cutting. Where are my scissors? I wonder if I should use this or my scissors. Let's see. Let's see if this is strong enough to cut through this. Ah, it does it. Okay, cool. I might have to move this because I believe I am falling off the edge. I love these little cutters. You can actually get this particular one at the dollar store if they still have it. I think I'll do the scissors on the rest just to make sure that I don't get wildly off base. So now we've got this piece, and if we close it up like this, I'd say it's already looking a little bit witch hatty. Alright, I am going to do some experimentation and I will see you in a second. Okay, I've clipped it, and because of the seam allowance, I think there's a little bit of excess on the tops and bottoms, but I think this might work out, and I believe I am ready for my first try on. Oh my goodness. So this is it clipped, and it's already exactly what I wanted. I can't believe this was actually super easy. I mean, I will link in my description the website Delia Creates that had some good advice and some math to actually make this hat a reality, but honestly, it wasn't so hard. Why was this eluding me for so long? I don't know, but anyway, it's not done yet. I really like the rim here, but I think I'm going to actually sew it directly onto the inner part of the hat so that it's always rolled in like this, because I think it makes it, you know, the true witch hat experience. And I believe I am going to see what I can do to maybe give this a little tuck, because I just really like the point going off in a whimsical direction. It makes me feel just so delightful. Perfect for the season. And gotta make sure that it does go down low enough. Oh, one of the clips came out, so I may have to do some fiddling with that to make sure it goes down low enough to cover my ears, because I am a cold little baby and I need to cover my ears when it gets cold in the winter. You know, gotta keep those nice and toasty. That's why I make my hats. But also for the aesthetic, because let's be honest, sometimes the aesthetic is life, especially in October. Okay, I believe I'm aiming for a roughly 2-inch brim, and that actually matches up perfectly with my experience making beanies, because those were about 10 inches tall as well for the basic beanies. So, you know, I think that makes sense. 2 inches of brim, 10 inches of hat, and we've got ourselves a cute little witch hat to keep me toasty all winter long. Okay, now to sew it. Wow, this is so quick. What's the catch? Okay, I've just sewn the 2 inches here and the 2 inches here that will fold together on the other side of the fabric. And now I'm going to put the whole hat inside out, and we've got a bit of a witch hat here, and I'm going to sew around the edge to finish it. Excellent. It's so cute. And now I just need to sew in a little hand sewn tuck here, and we've got ourselves a perfect little hat. So all I'm going to do is put one little stitch right here and sort of grab a little bit of the lower part of the hat and a little bit of the upper part of the hat and go right on through, pull it through, and then we've got a little point. So I'm just going to tie it off, and that's it. It's pretty simple.
Close the window and your eyes disappear into the blue. Wrap your fingers around the great escape. Drinking moonshine on the moon. It's got you feeling like a queen.
It's finished! I've got my little witch hat beanie. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love it. It is exactly what I was hoping it would be. It is so warm and toasty. This is basically a summer dress, and wearing this cape and this hat with it, I feel like I am just sitting by the fire. I could wear this in midwinter. I love it so much. I'm pretty sure I'm going to wear it on Halloween and possibly every single day afterwards, as long as I can get away with it. It's so lovely. I really love the brim. I permanently sewed it, of course, so it's nice and beautiful and always, you know, staying there for a fashionable touch. And then I added that little stitch to make the point go off in a very slight direction. It's not too much, but I really like it. I think it looks really cute. It adds a little dash of whimsy, and it's just exactly what I was looking for. I am definitely going to get a ton of use from this hat because I love it so much. I'm already thinking of other accessories that I can make to work with it. I'm so excited. This was a dream come true, really, an absolute dream. So let me know down in the comments, how did I do? What do you think of my new hat? And also let me know, would you ever want to make one of these for yourself or just have one to wear around town? And if you enjoyed this video, I would really love it if you would add a like and subscribe and stick around for more videos like this one about sewing and thrifting and crafting and fashion and tarot, all with a witchy spin. I will be back soon, so stay tuned, and remember, my celestial friends, save every opportunity you have to learn to make something that you truly love, be kind to yourself and to the universe, and try to add a little bit of magic wherever possible to your corner of the world. Bye! Well, now this is stuck to that, so that's cool and great, and that's exactly what we wanted.